Yeah, hey, welcome to Academy of Tone 231. And again, Max Carton from Belgium, all the way from Belgium near Brussels.
Yeah, it's a little town a bit above Brussels, going towards Antwerp. The name is too complex to mention here, and nobody knows it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I could see on your number plate you have the 1, which is kind of the central number in the... Is it?
Well, I think it's mainly they run out of license plates, so they just added a 1, and now we're up to 2 actually. So
okay.
It's like I would say like 10 years back or something. When you had a 1, you would know that it's a fairly new car. Now, if you have a 2, you have a fairly new car. So
I thought the 1 would be like the central part around Brussels, and the 2 would be like the. But it's a different system.
Not that I know. No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So we all know Max because he has been here twice already. So this is your 3rd time.
Yeah.
And you have been here on a total different vibe the last time.
Yeah. Sure.
The AC/DC expert, going stereo and going spacey.
Well, the crazy thing about me is that I have like 2 totally different types of music that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm very much into classic rock from the late 60s, the 70s.
Yeah.
Anything that came like after the Beano record. You know, stuff that you also like.
Of course.
And then I have my other side, which starts more with kind of Soundgarden and goes all the way up to modern hard rock and maybe even going into metal. But it's kind of a big part of it is the ambience, the soundscaping, and big sounds. And you have a lot of guys who have done it in the past. Jerry Cantrell uses 2 different amps, one with less gain, one with more gain. There are lots of other examples. For example, Mark Tremonti from the band Alter Bridge that I like so much.
Yeah.
He also always uses 2 amps. He's not really a stereo type of guy, but the concept of using a lower gain and a higher gain at the same time to get a more complex tone is what I was interested in with this rig.
I mean, we talked about. We always talk about in over the year, like what's new, what's going on. And actually, before we came here, you brought some of your great vintage Marshalls. Like a 100-watt PA from 1971, or was it?
71 or 2, something in there. It's still the hand-wired tech board.
Mine is a bit older, the Blackfact 67, I guess.
It's a transition between 67 and 68, the Black Flags.
And the other one was a Super Lead?
Super Lead, it's about 72 or 3, something like that. Yeah.
So 2 great amps we heard today beside my stuff. Let us show you a quick video of the AC/DC side of Max, so we get this out of the way, so we kind of understand that you are actually 2 personalities. And then we come to the soft Max. Okay, enjoy this from the last time you've been here at the Academy of Tone. talking about AC/DC, here is the SG, and here is the Solo Dallas Storm, which is one of the, let's say, preamps that Angus was using or is using, coming from his wireless system, because the story goes that he was in the studio and he was missing some magic, and then they came and thought what was different on stage, and they found out it was the wireless. And Phil Solo Dallas has his own great pedals, this one and the Tower.
Yeah.
And he's the expert when it comes to this.
Yeah, he went totally crazy because the Schaefer wireless, the problem with it was that those frequencies were no longer legal. So Angus could not use it. And that's why he had to change from lower output pickups to higher output pickups to compensate for that. So when you see those guitars from somewhere around mid-80s forward, they are way higher output to compensate for the Schaefer. And then at some point he got back to lower output pickups without the Schaefer. It was a more bluesy sound, but that's for another episode.
Of course. But just to get the picture. And by the way, Phil Solo Dallas makes great amps, and he's using an AMP1, which is so cool.
The thing is that you were talking about your Black Flag, Marshall, and the thing is that the secret Angus amp is a 50 watt Black Flag amp, and AMP1 Mercury is based on this Black Flag, so it's no question that it's gonna be killer for AC/DC. To my ears, I'm missing nothing with vintage channel of the
AMP1
the AMP1 Mercury. I'm still playing tribute gigs, and I've been leaving my old amps at home, which is great because it's easier to carry, it's more consistent.
We know that there's one little thing that he has done to fool the world. We can show that because this was in the office today. Maybe we can show there's a new Marshall cabinet in town. And guess what? These both cabinets are actually BluGuitar fat caps. He just changed the cosmetics to look like Marshall. And there's a blue AMP1, which is also a special thing that, it's not aware. Anyway, we did have some fun, but I kind of like that Marshall logo on a BluGuitar cabinet too.
And as I say, my other cabinet still has the BluGuitar logo on it. So I totally endorse the product. It's more to actually fool other people when, so some guys they just want to see the right name on there. Otherwise
they don't believe it sounds that cool.
So I can bring the Marshall cap on the first couple of sessions, and then I bring the BluGuitar afterwards.
That's cool. I really love the passion you put in all to your little details. I mean, it's from, we talk about pickups, we talk about dummy coils, we talk about anything Max is doing has a very huge depth to it, and this is why we always stay in contact, because there's a lot of exchange of experience we have, like speakers and
this is also why I really love your products and you as a player, because a lot of guys they just let all the details slide by, and they make do with like 75% tone. They get a camper or whatever, and they put in a profile and
that's
they're
it.
happy. But we are looking for the details in terms of feel, in terms of sound, having the perfect tone to actually be able to emote the right tones and emotions in the music.
And this now is maybe the way how we go back to the other side of you, besides the harder emotions of AC/DC, you know, straightforward, no effects at all. I mean, besides that pedal, there's nothing. It's just the amp, it's the guitar, and there is nothing. There's no reverb, there's no delay.
And to be fair with the AC/DC stuff, I'm not even using the Schaefer at the moment. And it's purely because I like to have simplicity on that part. It's just guitar, wireless amp, and nothing else. Just because it's less to worry about. I can focus on having the costume and doing the moves.
Yeah, we need that. Okay, now for the other side, the ambient side. This is something I think I also have a ballad and ambient side myself. By the way, I should talk about this new album. I have to advertise it because that's the new Ben Granfeld Engelin album. It's actually here in form of a CD and I'm getting vinyls. It's not out yet. It's coming on the 8th of November. There will be some pre-sales and I also will put it on the BluGuitar web store because it's my next album coming out. And I wrote a nice ballad called The Last Day of Summer, which was probably today. When you arrived, we had sunshine and nice weather. Yeah. And then we enter the fall, and then it's getting cold here. So this is what I'm doing. And of course, we're doing the tour, but I will talk about this later. On the ambient side, before we go into the technical stuff, there is, of course, effects needed.
Yeah,
and that's we were kind of drenched in reverb and delays and wobbly whatever effects. Actually, I didn't switch on my wobbly. Where am I? I should be here. Okay, without making big plans, we both chosen the Halo delay.
Yeah.
And we also chosen the same preset. It seems like this unit had one sound that is it. That's the sound.
Yeah, and the thing is that the great Mr. Andy Timmons.
Kudos to Andy.
He did all the work for us basically on this preset. If I understand it correctly, he started out originally with the tape delays. Then he moved on to Memory Man. Then he moved on to the Strymon, and now he wanted even smaller and simpler, which is great because what I love is that, as you did, you take it out of the box, you plug it in,
and it sounds great,
and it's amazing.
Yeah.
The problem with me and delays and stuff is often that to dial in a delay that is ambient and has a lot of repeats and feedback and stuff, it can get in the way of actually the
dry
signal.
I analyzed this delay especially because I like it so much, and we kind of copy it for the AMP-X, and what it has is first a frequency range from the delay signal that is different from the dry signal. And secondly, there is also some modulation going on, which is subtle, but it's kind of your guitar note is always dry in the center, kind of, and the delay, because it's pitching up and down and spread into left and right, you can hear. So the guitar is still present in the middle, and it's not washed totally away, even though it's so much delay. With a standard delay, if you had so much delay on it, there would be only where's the guitar, and this is like the guitar is riding on a big wave, on a big cloud. And this is the magic of this halo.
Yeah, somebody also said the ducking effect, which no doubt has something to do with it also. But indeed, that's the main reason that I love the delay so much. I tried a lot of different types, and with the halo, it's just you plug it in, preset 1A, and
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
I'm done.
I heard the story that this is actually based on some David Gilmour setting. Because Gilmour already used that kind of combination of the two,
the dotted quarter
and the straight ones, and this kind of builds this rhythmic pattern. And we all know that also from the good old tape echoes coming from the shadows and stuff. So there is a tradition on that, and it always worked. I mean, if the hits have been written with tape delays, I think the full 60s were covered with instrumental guitar hits using delays, and so this is a clever move to give this eternity feeling to a guitar. That's another aspect of the electric guitar to me.
And we can of course also mention the Edge in this conversation. He is also somebody who really put the whole ambient thing to the next level. I think he even his delay is way more prominent than what we have with the Halo now, in terms that the delay is actually part of
the rhythm,
rhythm,
because he
the
uses
musical concept.
The dotted eights, and he kind of the delay is at least as loud as the dry signal, and then this makes this makes a motor. It's like a three-cylinder motor. You play one note and there's two more coming.
Just make sure you don't play the wrong one, because it's gonna be coming back a lot.
Shit in, shit out. So that's delay. I have a little Hall of Fame reverb here. Let's get rid of the delay just for fun. So this is my Hall of Fame. So this is like nothing, okay? So and there's a Hall of Fame. What do I use? A plate, some classic. So, and then I do have I call it like a modulation effect, like a wobbly effect. This is like a Leslie, which is not so good. I kind of prefer this stereo vibe. And when you just listen to the vibe, or maybe I make this. So this is no effect. Modulation. Reverb and modulation. And next I engage that beautiful delay. For me, there's only my replex. Where is it? Here, replex. This is like the real deal tape echo, and the Halo. These are my two favorite delay pedals. And the Halo I like in the effects loop, and the Replex I like in front. Because that's the vintage world of Hank Marvin and shadows and stuff.
Yeah, it's totally a cool sound. The tape delay, it's a different approach. I think it's more old school. More like Joe Walsh or Jimmy Page or all the old school dudes, and it has such a cool character too. It's really a different approach to delay.
It's a different vibe and a different approach, and the result makes it cool. It's like retro.
Yeah. I think both are really cool, and indeed, I think you can even have both if you're that type of guy. But you need to know how to play it, especially in the front of an amp with distortion. Then you need to be dynamic and
It's a challenge, but I love it. It's me and the Replex. We all know it. And it's all over the place on the new record as well. Okay. And by the way, this is one way of getting there with individual pedals. One pedal for modulation, one pedal for delay, and one for reverb. And I would always place them in this kind of order. And of course, there are modern devices that combine all this stuff. Like I have this Line6, where is it? My HXFX board, combining basically everything. The HXFX is anything in this room done in the digital domain, and then having two loops, you can insert it in front of the amp and all that stuff that we are talking about. So that's the other option. And the Line6 effects are very, very popular. And we also have this, the Perfect Dream Rig user group. This is why I've done this pedalboard. Because many people use this combination of AMP1 and the Line6 HXFX or the smaller versions.
I actually used to use the HX Stomp, which I really enjoyed. And in terms of effects and stuff, a lot of stuff is like 90% or 95% there. So especially if you are like a cover guy, you can cover anything with the Helix stuff, and it's great. And the nice thing is that whenever you need certain different effect, you can dial it in, and you don't need to bring along another pedal to have it, which is really the great thing about having it that way. It makes it really moldable into different situations.
Right. Yeah. So, but there is a new product out, which I knew even before you guys knew, because I played with Andy Woods at the Guitar Summit, and Andy showed me a very cool product of Fractal Audio, since they have done a pedal the same size, focusing only on effects. And I think Fractal is one of the high-class effect companies. So they
give you all the options. That's the thing, is that you really can dial in the bias, the whatever you want of every aspect. You can really go a long way with the details. So if you like
tweaking
and tweaking,
you can go.
It's really a nice thing.
Yeah. It is for that kind of. It's for us nerds, I would say. Well, if you are a nerdy in the digital domain, this might be your product. And here's a little clip that shows you that cool Fractal effects device. At that time, the logo had to be hidden. But now, you know, I'm allowed to talk about it now. So, this is something new.
Yeah?
Fractal has finally released a pedal doing effects only. I mean, Fractal is like the king of the digital world, at least to me. And you are using it already.
I am. I'm beta testing this thing, and we can't say its name. That's why it's got the custom black tape on it.
This is a sticker of magic.
But
The
yeah,
magic box.
I used to, for years I've used XFX in the studio for effects, delays, verbs. It's so good, and I'm testing it out. I love the footprint. My whole setup is
Shrinking.
is 18 inches from one side to the other.
Nice.
And then I use an expression pedal to control the mix of the delay.
Right.
So when we're in a room like this, which is gorgeous, I need way less delay.
See, endless hall.
Yeah. But it's really great, and some of the cool features. If I want to go, these right now it's set up to be effect on, off. But if I want presets, I can just go to the presets. Yeah, there's clean, telly, stripes, which is my Van Halen knockoff.
Of course. We all do Van Halen in a way.
And then
Cool.
so that just goes to my. So if I go back,
This one, right?
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
And this is the famous Matteo.
Yeah. So it's great. And then here's your tuner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great right there.
We all need a tuner.
Yeah.
Hey, so, okay, this is brand new.
Brand new. Yeah.
Thanks for the insights.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was Andy Woods and Matteo Mancusso. Well, we had a lot of time backstage. Matteo had no strap, so I gave him a BluGuitar strap. He then needed a power adapter for his laptop. I went upstairs, got my power adapter.
Luckily, he didn't need any picks.
No, I mean, this is the only thing he cannot forget as long as he got fingers.
That's why he probably stopped
Using picks. I forgot my pick. Oh, no pick here. Okay, no problem. Unbelievable guy. If you don't know him, check him out. It's scary.
It's really scary.
Yeah, and a super nice guy too. We had.
And he likes AC/DC too. I've heard in his Rick Beato interview that he actually started out with that kind of stuff, and that whatever.
I mean, he's just a cool guy, enjoying what he's doing, and of course he has his own style, and now everybody talks about this unique way of playing, which sets him apart from all the rest, and he is in another universe by doing that. But in the end, he enjoys music.
Yeah, sure. He reminded me in that aspect a bit of Richie Kotzen, who I really love, who also uses no picks. But he takes it a step further. He looks a bit like the Billy Sheehan three-finger technique when he's doing the fast runs. Yeah.
Okay, now back for the stereo. Maybe we should discuss what is good about mono and what is good about stereo. Where does it make sense? Where is it maybe in the way of the music? For instance, AC/DC would not make sense to have a stereo guitar player because you need two guitars in each guitar in mono, put them spread on each side, and you're good to go.
Yeah, it's the old school stereo. It's the Malcolm Angus stereo, which is actually kind of going towards what I'm doing with the low and the high gain. But I think especially in bands where you're not the only guitarist, it's probably best to stay mono.
To stay mono, yeah. Just imagine if everybody in the band, a keyboard player, makes those spherical sounds. It's okay if you do ambient music, but if you are doing like pop music, it's okay to have that kind of spaciness with one guy. Yeah. But it's a danger if everybody is kind of drifting away in the wish-wash of the sea of reverbs.
Yeah, sure.
So that is a thing about mono has a quality. And if you listen to the 60s records, they even did stereo with a mono drum on one side on Beatles records and the rest of the band on the other side, and maybe they're having claps there. And it is a sound.
Or the early Van Halen stereo, which was like right and then left was only reverb.
Yeah, the good old plate reverb on the one side and then
And I think that in a band where you're the only guitarist and you're trying to fill space, I think stereo is naturally something you're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is an option. I still have my mono rig in my 3-piece band, but honestly, I'm very happy with that because I'm more the vintage kind of guy,
Sure.
like Jimi Hendrix. But you never know. Maybe one day I go stereo because I have the room that I can fill. I'm allowed to fill all these far right and far left areas in the mix. There is not much because like the drum, the kick and the snare is in the center, the vocals is in the center, and then there is a little bit of reverb put on the mix, or it's a natural room reverb which makes your 2-ear stereo, and then that's basically it. So there is some space in the left and right spectrum.
It would be possible, but as you said, it kind of depends on the genre too.
Yeah.
It's I think it's something that started in the 80s. I think guys like BluGuitar and Van Halen, they started with the Eventide, doing the pitch detune to create a stereo image, and maybe also chorus, which was probably the first way people went stereo before even the Eventides, just a regular bass pedal and 2 amps.
Because they wanted to be different from the 70s.
Yeah.
See, I mean, Van Halen started in the late 70s with their releases, and you know what's new? What can we do next? And this is where the whole stereo thing came up. And I remember records that have been mixed in crazy stereo. Slave to the Rhythm by Grace Jones. I mean, you know, you had trips on the stereo panning, like just as an experience. And when we are now looking at the stereo thing, it can be a trip, it can be a big sound that we can feel. Well, then there is the ambience feels better in a room. I mean, you prefer to sing in the shower with some reverb, which gives you ambience, which is actually stereo.
Yeah.
And the same like when you go into a whatever cave or a church. And I think this is where this inspires.
Yeah, and I think to that point that if you are at home and you're recording direct with headphones a lot, it can also be a way to get less tired of the very direct sound of your guitar. Because if you have a very dry one guitar or even a bit wetter, it sometimes with headphones especially it can be tiring.
Because the headphones, there is no air around it. And if you are sitting in a room with a mono amplifier, the reflections of the room give you already a full stereo sound.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, it's not wobbly and stuff, but it's like rounder. And I think that's true. It's a human thing to have 2 ears to get that kind of space, to feel that space. And okay, when we think about how can we achieve stereo setups, let's start with the old school setup where you have like 2 amps and then you put in the pedal. I mean, maybe you have a drive pedal, overdrive pedal, or whatever, a booster, and whatever you use for things. But this is all mono. This is dry signal. There is no time-based effects. There is it is just like the core mono amp sound, AC/DC style or Van Halen style, whatever. So, and then there is the point where you want to be wide, and then you kind of have a stereo chorus. I remember the days when the Roland Jazz chorus came out, GC120, and you had the CE1 big pedal, and then stereo. Oh, so this was experiencing stereo with a stereo amplifier with like 2 speakers. And what you can do if you have like 2 amps, you can simply go and have a stereo chorus, a stereo delay, or a stereo reverb.
Yep.
And then we have the signal path. I think we have a little schematic. Schematic is not. It's like a to show the signal path. So you know, the mono dry effects could be like anything that we usually have as pedals in front of our amp for overdrive, for compression, for tone building. So, and then anything that is doing time-based things, because even modulation, like a chorus, is time-based. It needs a very short delay, but this short delay is time. Delay is time.
And you're then modulating on that one. And that's the chorus, or you can have a still chorus too.
Exactly. I mean, you could fix the Van Halen or even type -9% here and plus there. But most of the time, it's a little bit wobbly, like a standard chorus. And then if you have like a bouncing delay, what we have with like 2 different delay times on each side, and then the same kind of with reverb, how is it done in stereo? Because the reflections are slightly different in frequency and length for each side. And this kind of creates that stereo space.
Yeah.
And the easiest setup we can see here is simply have stereo pedals going stereo in the time-based effects, and you can use 1 or 2 or 3 or as many as you like to become stereo, and then you feed the signal into 2 separate amps. Most of the guys would do this kind of setup with like clean amps, because they do all the overdrive with the pedals in front of this.
Yeah.
So that's a very simple way of getting stereo. And now we're coming to the next option, which is using 2 amps that actually have effects loop or effects loops, because I'm using 2 amps with effects loops. And this is what I'm using today. I kind of paired 2 AMP1s, and this is my signal path. You can see the Strat is going straight. Let me show you. So this is the Strat going straight into the first AMP1 input. So then the effect send of the first AMP1 is going out into my tremolo, rotary, or whatever modulation effect. And the output of this already is stereo.
Yeah.
And this goes into the halo delay, and then the halo delay goes into the stereo reverb. And now comes the part that is important. One side of the stereo outputs, of the 2 outputs of the reverb, goes in the effects return. Here we can see it, of the first AMP1, and the other side goes into the effects return of the second AMP1. And so we hear the whole thing. I use 2 blue boxes, and as usual.
Yeah.
So
what that is actually you're using 1 preamp. So we can see it as if the preamp is your overdrive pedal in your signal chain, and you're actually after that point going stereo. So you have 1 preamp, and then it splits off into the stereo effects, and using 2 power amps actually. So that's indeed the
classic way.
The classic way.
I think
it's less complex.
Yeah.
For a few reasons, because don't need to check all the levels of the different preamps.
You are thinking already about your setup with 2 preamps.
Yeah.
And this is getting very, very complex, but it's getting also, it's interesting to see what we can do. But like this setup, I think is probably the most used stereo setup that I know. Let me explain why. It's simple. It is flexible in the way that you have my amp as it used to be, and I use my 4 channels on the AMP1, and I could use it like I always use a mono amp. It's the same thing. It's just it becomes stereo with the time-based effects, and I don't have to care about anything else. It's just like my standard rig, just becoming stereo at some point.
Yeah.
And this is actually used by many players, and I have a little video of Jude Gold, who is actually the guitar player in Jefferson Starship, opening up for Deep Purple every day. And I had a nice conversation with him as he is using 2 AMP1s. I'm working on maybe getting him in the AcademyOfTone because they are touring Germany. And when I called him yesterday, he said, blah blah blah, and then being in the catering, Don Airy, the keyboard player of the came in, and he told him, "Hey, Thomas on the phone," and he goes, Thomas is cool. Yeah, we have to see him like last year. Last year I was seeing the guys in Luxembourg, which is not too far. It's kind of on your way home.
It's not too far from me.
Yeah. And then, so I'm working on meeting the guys, and also definitely I will see Jude Gold, and probably I get him here. Let's see. I'm talking him. If you see him, tell him he should come. Here is a little clip that he has done for the sound check. I think it was Mannheim where they played Monday. Check it out.
Do a tom again. Okay. Go back to your snare though. Hold on. Just keep that in there. Hold on. Pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, Jude Gold. Then there is another very great YouTube channel. It's called the Studio Rats from the UK.
Yeah.
And I think Paul, has done, do you know the guys?
I checked the videos and I saw actually the video about the stereo rig because he's, I think, the only guy who has a video about actually having stereo preamps with AMP1 as well. All the other videos, I think they use just one single preamp into multiple power amps.
Yeah.
And he also used both different
preamps. Yeah. The thing about Paul is he is going always for the next level. He is doing the thing other people don't do. And he was like the first one who went for like the Iridium, and he showed the world that this is not only a metal amp. And check out the videos that he has done on the AMP1. I didn't do anything. It came totally natural. They picked it up, and then when I saw it, I contacted them and said, "Hey guys, it's so cool what you are doing." And well, after a while we became more or less friends, I haven't been to their studio yet, but we met at the Guitar Summit, and yeah, let's check out the quick video with the Studio Reds.
So this is the Iridium edition. So that's coming out one of the speakers. Now if I click here, I can switch to the other amp, which is the Mercury edition. Now you can really hear what a difference there are in these two amps. One is, this one here is a lot brighter, it's a lot more mid-scooped. This one here is a lot more mid-forward. But the real magic happens when I switch both in together. Now I don't have to have these hard pan left and right. The reason I've done that is so you guys can really hear what the difference is, but I might actually more blend these two so they're more sort of more centered. Now, the remote one has MIDI, and it also has a little jack out that you can send to one of these units. So I've sent the jack out to, I think I've sent the jack out to the Iridium, and I've got a MIDI out going to the BluGuitar AMP1 Mercury edition. So if I switch to my classic channel, now that's switching both of these to the classic channel at the same time. I can also choose the vintage channel and also the modern channel as well.
So Paul was showing you already the next level of having two different AMP1 and using two preamps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this is giving you an extra texture, having two different amps, or at least to have the option of having different amps, which you went all the way, but this comes later. And the funny thing is about how he has done it was with the remote one, which I have here. And this uses like the two sockets. We don't have any more than this. One is the one connected to one AMP1, and the other one is the MIDI out with the MIDI 1 adapter controlling the second AMP1. Mind, these signals are basically the same. So therefore, with this setup, when you switch from vintage, then both AMP1s have to be on the vintage channel. And when I switch to classic, both AMP1s, it could be also a Mercury and Iridium like you have. They would be in sync with the remote one. With a standard or with a MIDI controller like yours, it's possible to have separate channel choices for each presets, which is next level. We come to this later. Well, there is another gentleman and killer guitar player. I have to shout this out. Paul Rose. He's of course another Stratking. We had him not in the studio yet, but I did a long interview because a killer guy. Do I have the Stratkings CD here? No, maybe it's upstairs. Quick one. Here it is. The Stratkings. In 2004, when Fender awarded the Stratkings, I was the winner, but Paul is better. I was just better on that day. So this is why I got the prize. And here we go. These are the guys, and somewhere is Markus Dehme, myself, Paul Rose, Olivier Wuston Omlus, French guy, Miki Birta from Sweden, and who did I forget? Pontus Borg. So, and yeah, watch the video because he shows us his stereo setup that he has created with AMP1. It's a few minutes. I get a new drink. See you in a bit, and then we come to see the killer setup of Max Carton. Okay.
Hi everybody, Paul Rose here, and welcome to this video that I've been planning for some time, where I just thought I would break down how I'm using this stereo setup with the Blug amps and cabs. It's something that, those of you who know me, I don't tend to use pedals as a rule. With the trio I just plug straight into the amp, and that's something that I've always been happy with, and I will continue to do in the trio format at least. But with the live streams that I was doing over the lockdown, and with the new house band that some of you will have seen, I'm using in the studio a more sophisticated sound with compressor and compression and reverb and delay and stuff like that. So there's nothing on here that's like, you know, transformative, that that hasn't been used in a million different ways before. But really it's just about having a bigger sound on the stage, because with the keyboards, with Paul Wilson playing keyboards and Andy Champion on bass and Mark Matthews on drums, you know, the kind of material that we're doing, I think it requires some more variation rather than just the in your face distorted sound. So let's have a look at what we've got, how this is working. So I'll try and explain this in an understandable way. We've got two Blug amps, AMP1, two of them. One's here on the pedal board and one's here on top of the amp. And the way that it works is, like all amps with preamps, you have a preamp stage and you have a power amp stage. So this one on the floor, on the board, I'm using the preamp and the power amp. And this one, I'm only using the power amp, and I'll explain that. So all of these pedals, ignore this big blue thing here for the time being, the Ocean machine. All of these pedals are mono pedals. So they go, you know, so I've got, let's just clean this sound up. I've got this wonderful Sonic Cake Vol-wah. It's a volume pedal. If you step on it, it becomes a wah. So that's an excellent little pedal. It's less than £50, that Sonic Cake Vol-wah. Okay. Then I've got the TC electronic chocker, which is the tremolo. You've got to have a tremolo, don't you? Old school. Somebody described me as vintage the other day, and I like that. I'm getting more vintage every day. Okay, of course, I've got the compressor. And what I should say at this point, this pedal board is still in development. I'm still not 100%. There's some changes going to be made. It's a little bit messy, but I'm messy, so stands to reason that the pedal board's going to be messy. Anyway, okay, so they're all mono, okay, and they all go mono, 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 straight into the AMP1 preamp. I send out of the AMP1, the first AMP1, into this machine here, the Moore Ocean machine. Now, this thing is sort of a beast. And besides the two Blug rigs, which I would like to take this opportunity to thank Thomas and the guys at JHS for facilitating this, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. And anyway, I'll talk about that at the end. But this Ocean machine is the thing that makes it stereo. So I come out of the AMP1 on the send and into the mono in on the Ocean machine. And then I go left out of the Ocean machine back into AMP1. Makes perfect sense. Then I go right out of the Ocean machine and into the return of the second AMP1, which means we bypass the preamp. So all of these controls here, all of the bass, treble, middle, drive, whatever, are bypassed. This is literally just amplifying the right-hand channel or the left-hand channel, whichever one. Okay. And so let's have a look at how this sounds. So there I've got like my basic clean sound, bit of compression, got the boost on. And a little bit of reverb. Now as I go through this, the delays and the reverbs, all I've done is I've basically taken the same sound and boosted it. Up, 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 up. So more delay, more reverb, more delay, more reverb. So that's basically how, that's it. You know, I'm not doing anything here that is, like, you know, revolutionary or, I mean, there's not a lot of revolutionary going on in 2023. But another sound that I've got here is the maximum reverb and delay setting that I have for the volume pedal. You know, look, no hands. So that kind of goes on. That's the kind of sound that you know, I've really wanted live. And I love Bill Frisell's playing. I love Bill Frisell's guitar playing, and I love his ambient stuff, and I love Pat Metheny and Alan Holdsworth and guys like that, and they were way ahead of all of this, you know, and others, you know. But I mean, so I'm I'm late to the party. So it's great fun. And okay, I'm using 2 blue boxes as well. So these are both coming out of blue boxes. The 2 AMP1s are coming out of a blue box each. And for the purposes of this video, I've got both blue boxes set to Fat Cab, because that's what I've got in the room here. And I've got the axis in the center. So it's kind of neutral, and you can see that I have the bass, treble, and middle, and all of that pretty much in the center. And just as a kind of a bit of advice or a bit of guidance, if you want it, ignore it if you want. If you're messing about with an amp and you're making extreme adjustments in the treble and the bass and the present and the middle, and you're going on and on and on, it's the wrong amp for you. That's my feeling on it. You know, you'll get your amp sounding right if it's the right amp for you. And if you keep going back to it and twisting and turning and boosting and cutting and blah, 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 it's the wrong amp. That's my feeling. Try a different amp. And I've always found that any amp that I use, I'll put the gain on full and the bass treble in the middle will always be in the center. And if I can get a sound like that, then I don't ask questions. So it's great fun. I love it. And also I've got some sounds stored in this Blue AMP1. Now, some of you may not be aware, I wasn't. I should pay more attention. You can kind of store your sounds. So of course you can step through. By the way, I'm wearing the red shoes specifically for this video. Match the guitar, as you may have already noticed. You can kind of store sounds. Let's go back to the basic reverb. So I've got 3 sounds stored in here. There's a video online. Thomas explains how you do this. Very simple, very straightforward. So number 1 is the clean channel with the boost. Second one is vintage. Now, I should really switch the compressor off for that. And then the third one is classic, which for me favours the single coils better. Wilkinson Bridge, let's talk about that next time. And I also have the Archer. Ooh, listen to that. So the Archer is that if I really want to go into madness, this, I mean, you can hear it, can't you? Got to have a bit of that on YouTube, haven't you? So yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. So I'm going to play a little bit to fade out. Let's go.
Ta-da! We are back. Yeah. In the meantime, we had pretzels and beers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about a question that we have seen in the chat. Michael Taylor's. He says, my home rig is an AMP1 Mercury line out, no cap sim. Ooh. Into Halo delay out to the mixer and run to stereo amp, blah blah blah. Why don't you use the built-in recording out? Because there is already a speaker sim, and the signal of that is kind of picked up at the power amp stage with a divider. Of course, the power amp makes a lot of voltage, which you shouldn't feed into any standard desk because it will kill it. But the recording out takes that signal, makes it small, and then processes it with a speaker sim. And there you should plug into your, what is it? Halo. Yeah, you have a Halo as well. And use that into your full range system. And by the way, this is also something if I have done here. When we look at this pedal board, the Line6, see, this is actually plugged into the recording out. This is not plugged into the send. This is send, return, recording out. So the recording out is sending the signal to the effects exactly like Michael Taylor's. And then these outputs go into the console. And then you have a very healthy signal. You could also use a simulated signal and then use 2 blue boxes afterwards, or use 2 cap sims inside the Line6. So there are many options.
Or you use even one cabinet simulation, because you only have one preamp, so
Yeah.
then you only need one cap sim.
Yeah, it makes it simpler. You know, less is more. Saves money for more beer. Okay, there was another question. AMP1 has many outputs. Yeah, and it will be. There's a lot of coming. I'm not talking too much. Pink Floyd played live in quadrophonic surround sound. Yeah, this is that's another thing. Actually, I mixed my first live DVD. Where is it? Live in Raalte. Where is it? No, not this one. Here it is. This has a 5.1 surround sound, and if you do this in the intro, I play some ambient guitar, and then I have a loop coming, and it's using a delay from the front speakers to the rear speakers, so it kind of flies over your heads, Pink Floyd style. Okay, so I didn't invent that, but it's like a Pink Floydish moment. That makes sense. Hey, and talking about Pink Floyd, we have to mention Ben Granfeld again, as he's playing in Finland with a band called Drink Floyd. That makes sense for the Finnish, because they are hard when it comes to alcohol. Let's watch this little clip and then we come into your board. Ben has also shown his stereo. He has a mono rig that we both play. When we both play, he is mono, I'm mono. But when he plays his Drink Floyd and other things, he goes for his stereo rig once in a while. Short video, watch that too.
Hi guys, Ben Granfeld here. Thomas asked if I could make a quick, well, not demo because I'm not playing anything, but just show my pedal boards and the way I use stereo. So let's see if I can do this. I have to cut here and then do another clip where I talk about the pedals. But take care, all BluGuitars. See you on the road. So this is my small pedal board. It's mono. I have an AMP1 on the side of it. And the chorus pedal on the wah-wah is going to replace the double moon Mad Professor, and then I would like to put the looper. I need to make this a little bit bigger, but the looper there as well. You can see the blue box. This is the mono board with an extra AMP1 Mercury on the side, which is not there now. Now we go to the next step, and this is my mid-size board. What's special about this is mono on stage, but it's stereo out. So I have 2 XLR outs, one from a blue box and one from a 2-notes torpedo, which also has this power amp simulation and cab simulation in one. I will flip open the lid so you can see that. That's what I use for power amp simulation and speaker out directly to the board, and that one goes to the cabinet on stage, and the XLR goes out to the mixing board. The only thing that actually is stereo here is the flashback, because I use a lot of ping pong and rhythmic delays, and I had the reverb, which I use a shimmer reverb for some effects here and there. I had it in stereo too, but for some reason I took it to mono. I can't remember why. I felt that was unnecessary, and it got so fucking big that I thought that's too much. By the way, that's a fantastic chorus for tri-stereo sounds. And the viscous vibe, man, I tell you, 60 euros for a Univibe. I use vintage vibe tone print, and it is really good. For that price, you can't beat it. Then This board is so big it doesn't fit on the camera. Well, now you can see it. What I have here is 2 Blue amps, and I use one as a power amp only. The other one I use, this one I use as the preamp section and power amp section. The Boss delay is in stereo. Again, I think it's the only one. Yeah, it's the only thing I use in stereo, because I feel like if I use the choruses in stereo, it just gets too big and I have a little bit problems getting the balances the way I like. The Red 7 chorus is really nice because it's 2 choruses. So one is used as a Leslie and the other one as the tri-stereo chorus. Univibe, Octavia. Everything is controlled by the Musicom, all the sounds, and also MIDI to the Boss delay. Underneath here I have 2 blue boxes. I have a tremolo and I have a compressor underneath the board, which, since they're on the loops, I don't have to touch them. They are good as they are. Well, this was a quick explanation, and it's a nice little light show. All right, be good, everybody. See you on the road.
So we have seen many different players with different boards, and now I'd like to go back to this kind of technical aspect of, you know, are we using 1 preamp and 2 power amps, or are we using 2 amps? And one thing we didn't mention yet is what is wet dry. This is something that we hear a lot at that pedal show, Daniel Steinhardt, Mick Taylor, and yeah, they love to have like actually more or less mono, because they don't use stereo effects, so they just have 1 amp that is pure dry and 1 is with effects. Do you have any experience on that?
I tried it. I tried it myself, and for my personal uses, I didn't feel that it brought extra value
Yeah.
to what I was doing personally. But as you can see, I don't have tons of pedals and effects.
Yeah,
I
you have more amp.
Yeah, I like the amp. So
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that I think when you have lots of pedals, that it might make a bigger difference. So it depends on your setup.
Of course.
Try it, and that's always what I think is the proof is in the pudding. You try the things out, and the things that you actually personally prefer, go through with them, because if you just rely on if everybody is saying this is great and it's not working for you,
yeah, there's no reason to use stuff like that.
No.
And so this should be an inspiration to think about it. I feel similar way, because I'm you know, when that pedal show is based on pedals that do everything. The amps are just clean pedal platforms, and they have a very, very clearly defined quality of pedal platform amps. It's like they have to sound exactly like this, and if not, then the pedal cannot show how great it is. So my approach, and maybe your approach as well, is more like we have amps, and we have maybe a pedal to boost, or maybe not even. We talked about the built-in boost in the AMP1, and I have a collections of boosts, but yeah, you tried out many boosts and you stick with
AMP1. I don't find the need, because the built-in boost and all the channels give me all the gain I need. For me, it's always the most important, even on the more high gain sounds, to be able to roll back
Yeah.
and still have a presentable rolled back sound
Yeah.
to go between
Clean and overdrive
what
on-
other guys would get out of 7 overdrive,
overdrive
pedals.
pedals. Yeah, and here's the thing: when you use a preamp and maybe a pedal in front of the preamp, the tone there is very defined, and there is no time-based effect that is disturbing it with the guitar into the saturation stage, so to speak. And then with having an effects loop, you have a totally processed signal already that you can post-process, which is so clean. And therefore, I personally also don't feel the need of a wet extra amp to separate it. What I do see is the thing of a wet, dry, wet system, which gives me, I mean, the maximum maximum pleasure of 3 amps. There's the full puristic dry sound in the middle with 1 amp, and then there's 2 effect amps. It could also be wedges on the floor, like Jeff Beck was using. He was using his whatever Marshalls, and then he was using sometimes weird old quadroverbs and whatnot effects that he found inspiring, and had that effects put on the wedges in front of him in stereo, which makes it wet, dry, wet, because dry was the amp and stereo wet is fun. And then of course that's giving a lot of nice ambience and space, even though if you don't put it very loud, it's an enjoyable thing.
Yeah, I did try that too, and I enjoy it a lot. With my rig, I wouldn't do it because I have two different preamps. So then the question is, the dry signal, which amp do you choose? And that kind of takes away from the concept that I'm personally using. But if you're using one preamp,
Then it makes sense.
then it makes sense.
Yeah.
And there are tons of guys, Steve Stevens,
Yeah,
Steve
Luke has
Lukather, Van Halen.
Van Halen. They have done this kind of concept. Okay, so we've been through the case number 4 or 5 already, and then is kind of the maxed out concept of combining every option, having 2 preamps, 2 power amps, stereo effects. We have a little article on the BluGuipedia knowledge base about such a setup. It's called the 7 cable method. The cables are needed for the signal, but also for the controlling. How to control 2 amps via MIDI. This is also what you are doing, and how to switch the different preamps. In your case, it's getting even blending the preamps. But this is If you want to check out, there's a huge article on BluGuipedia.com. Type in 7 cable method. There's an article about the 4 cable method, and I never will forget when I was at the NAMM show and I was explaining, the guy say you can go 7 kind of, and the guy said, I'm a 1 kind of cable method kind of guy. I play the guitar. Yeah.
That's the easiest method of them all. Yeah.
So, and now finally, what is? Explain us your magic pedalboard and how you combine all that stuff.
Okay. So I start with my 4 kind of sounds that I have. So I call them low, medium, high, and heavy. And what that is actually, so low is just the vintage channel on both amps. And I like to have that as my starting point because it allows me to have a clean sound. I can have everything from sparkling clean to bluesy sound. And
Just
if
on
I
the guitar.
go to the bridge pickup, I can have some AC/DC too. So that's where I start. Then I go to medium, which is both amps on the classic channel.
One question, just to make it sure or clear. When you are on both vintage channels, we hear both amp channels and both amps at the same time.
Yeah. So I will.
And maybe what is the difference for you? Why are you combining two AMP1s different colored? The black one, the Iridium, and the Mercury. What is the benefit of having two vintage channels?
Well, let me start with this preset, which is then basically because having the two vintage channels it's kind of it's very nice. It gives it complexity, but it's not the main reason I would have this. This is a nice thing to have. But
the killer thing is
the
coming
killer
next.
thing is having actually the classic channel on the AMP1 Mercury and then the modern channel on
the Iridium,
which gives you. So what I will do is I will switch it to clean here because I have it on 0.
Yeah.
I never use a clean channel, you know that. So
I mean, that's a statement. I never use a clean channel, you know? Okay, you're a pussy.
so this is the modern on the Iridium. And then I add, I will show you only the classic.
Yeah, which comes on the outro.
So
Great,
to me, what that does is it gives me the heaviness of the modern channel on the Iridium, which I love this modern channel, but it blends in
the dynamic and the pumping punch of the Mercury.
Yeah, and the Mercury has such a, on the classic channel, it's such a, the mid range is so tasteful, it's so great. That it kind of complements the Iridium modern channel so nicely. It kind of it makes the sound even bigger. If you only use the modern channel, it's still a nice sound, but yeah. So
yep, I can hear that.
It gives it just makes it bigger.
Yeah.
It just adds something to it, and you can put as many boosts or overdrives as you want to the amp, but to my ears, it's only changing slightly the character, but it's not making it
totally different.
Bigger.
Yeah.
And this is really the most puristic way to have a high gain, big sound, but still have a little bit more dynamic of the less high gain, the more medium low gain side. So I would say that the vintage channels, having them together, it just slightly enhances the stereo effect. It fools your ears of hearing slightly different versions of the same thing, which is nice, especially when you have headphones on.
Sure.
But it's not the reason I would go for this setup. But it's very nice to have this dynamic option.
That was dynamic. And me using the modern channel, this was also dynamic.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed. Yeah.
So yeah, that was actually the main reason for me wanting to have this kind of setup, is actually having the modern channel and the classic channel here, because that's just a sound that I love. And then I have this one, which is
modern.
This is like you have like your superhero preset you set one time. This is mine also.
Sure.
Well, I really need to go for it. I switch this one, which doesn't happen often, but I can do that.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's mainly to have the two different complementary things. I can even exaggerate it by having the gain higher on the Iridium, which I often will do. Today I didn't do it, but it will accentuate it even more. So yeah, that accentuates it even more. I'm probably also on the vintage channel now. Yeah.
Yeah, drifting away in stereo. I think, yeah.
And the fuzz is also really fun.
Okay, this is the first pedal in the signal path. So guitar, fuzz.
Yeah, so in terms of signal path, so we go from guitar into fuzz, which is a orbiter fuzz. It's a cool fuzz face type of pedal from our friends of Solo Dallas also. It goes into the tuner. Then from the tuner I have a Lechle P-split. I don't know how you pronounce the company. Is it like that?
Lele. Burkhard Lele. I know him.
Okay.
Kudos to Burkhard. Burkhard Lele is, by the way, a pedal switch maker and special pedal.
Yeah.
And we are doing something together.
Wow.
On the pedal of the AMP1 controller pedal.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is behind the scenes.
But I really like their stuff. It's really rock solid. So I'm losing the Lele P-split. And it's simply a device to go from one signal to two signals with the option to have the ground isolation with the transformer, which is important in this setup.
Because, I mean, just little point here. When you do such complex setups with two amps, with pedals, you run into a few things. One can be a ground loop, and therefore the isolation of the ground with such a splitter box can be critical. Sometimes it works and sometimes it simply does not work, and you need a transformer to split the ground, to isolate the ground. And the other thing you always have to watch also is phase issues. Because if you have two signals going at the same time, what is happening with the phase? Are they in line, are they in phase, or are they out of phase? And this can happen when you go into the digital domain, because in the digital domain there is the conversion from analog to digital, and there is a latency.
Yeah.
So you have to decide if there is a dry signal and a processed signal that maybe has some dry signal as well with latency that will cause horrible phasing effects. And if you know how to dial these out, so you have a totally analog dry signal in a parallel effects loop like on the AMP1, and just mix the wet signal on top, you're totally fine. So nothing wrong about digital devices. I'm just saying, watch out when you're using digital devices. They do have a latency, and you have to take care about it to avoid phase issues. And also analog devices can have a phase 90 degrees or whatever.
So, if I understand it correctly, with each gain stage, you're switching 180 degrees.
It can happen. It can happen depending on how many stages you actually add.
So when you add one, you switch 180.
Yeah.
Is what I mean.
Yeah.
But the nice thing with AMP1, which I really love, is that all of the channels on themselves are completely in phase.
Yeah.
But I think that when you add the boost, the phase is flipped.
Yeah. So you have to add the boost on both.
On both, which is totally cool, because if you have two, if you have, for example, a Mesa Boogie and you add like a Marshall or a Friedman, and you're like, oh, I want to use that channel on that amp and that one on that, it's gonna be a nightmare in terms of phasing.
Yeah.
And a fix can be to have in indeed
phase inverter.
A phase inverter, and to program whenever you're out of phase to have it
in the signal,
for
to
realign,
realign the phase.
The phase.
Yeah, so that could be an option.
But I'm happy I don't have to do that.
Yeah, it's already kind of complex, but yeah, these are the major things you have to watch, and partially, since the amps have a different tone control. When you dial in the tone control extremely, they're drifting apart in phase as well.
Yeah.
By nature.
Yeah.
And that can be also part of the sound, but it can also be weird. And combining our amps, since they have kind of a similar DNA, and it is pretty much in sync. And this is why you can do all that stuff that you are doing with the high gain Iridium on the modern and the classic, because this is our design, which is more or less in phase, and that it's a nice thing that lets you vary less.
Yeah, I think that the amps they are begging to be used in stereo.
Well, I put it that way. It's a pleasure to have that option. I'm still doing my thing, although I have to say this is fun here, and for me it will be fun in my AMP-X, because then I have the option without carrying the extra load of gear and mental thing. It's a preset bam, and then I'm here, what we are doing now, because in the AMP-X I have 5 blue boxes, I only use 2. I have all that stuff here in there as well. So I can have that, and the next thing I'm back to my current rig, which is cool.
Yeah. So in terms of the single chain, so we go from the Lely, I forgot it already. The P-split
Lele is okay.
Into the 2 inputs. And then we come back out of the 2 inputs into the Halo. And then from the Halo into the Ditto looper. And then we go back into the amps. And I have an expression pedal to change out the level of the Halo, because it's nice to vary the amount of ambience, especially when you're going between clean passages with big ambient sounds, and then if you're going into heavier stuff, I tend to back it off just a little bit to make the rhythm more clear.
Sure.
Which right now was difficult because it wasn't on the floor, but I would usually do that. Which is a nice option with the Halo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the signal chain, and then I have this MIDI switcher.
Yeah, very important, because that's kind of the controller of
The channels.
the channels. Yeah.
yeah.
And now we have to explain that you hit only one button on the MIDI switcher. The MIDI switcher memorizes MIDI program change commands, and these you can learn. We call it MIDI learn on the AMP1. So whenever you hit that switch, there comes a MIDI program change, and that will be learned by both AMP1s, and they will recall that setting of channel once you press this button again.
Yeah. So indeed, I have 4 presets which send a PC message to both amps, and then I can simply tell the amps what they need to do on that specific PC message or preset.
Yeah.
And then another fun thing that I have is the volume up and down here, which I like a lot, because
it's a solo boost.
Yeah, but for me, when I'm playing live, sometimes I just want to give it a bit more. And if you're mono, it's fairly easy to turn one knob. But if you're stereo, you need to turn 2 knobs at the same time.
Yeah. And this is our second master volume in the AMP1 that you access via the same switcher with control change commands.
Yeah, and so the Morningstar is like one of the most versatile MIDI devices, because what's very nice about this one is that you actually have a MIDI. How is it called? It's kind of a counter, and so it remembers that value, and you can always go to the current value, which means that, for example, if I set it to a certain value and I switch channels, I can again send that exact same value, because otherwise you would not be able to do that, and it would go to all over the place with the levels. So in this way of working, I can always, with the PC message, also send a CC message of that counter that is at a certain place and will only be changed when I asked it to go up or down.
That's nice. Yeah, I understand.
And that's you cannot do that with a lot of MIDI devices.
Switches. Yeah, they usually send one thing out, and then you have to live with it.
Yeah, so you can maybe go between 2 values, and you always have to send it again to have that value. Yeah. So what I like with this is that if I'm too loud or too quiet, I can on the fly add
just like an analog volume.
Yeah, like a volume pedal. I can just add in increments of 10 of the CC value, and I can have more or less. And so because in the past I used to have like just a single boost, which is cool.
But it was too much sometimes.
But sometimes it's too much or not enough. Or when the other thing is that you push it on and you like so much the sound how it is that you don't turn it off. Yeah. And then you have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So this is really a dynamic way of if I have a simple mono setup, I just bend down and I bend the knob like most people.
Yeah, but in the stereo setup, this is the control to do the same thing on one switch.
Yeah,
that's actually very clever. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and it gives me a lot of options in terms of having it louder or quieter.
Yeah. And then it is also recognized by both amps at the same time.
Yep.
And that makes it simple, because you just say CC whatever, is it 007? Is it?
Could be. CC
07 plus 10 steps or minus 10 steps.
And the nice thing with the Morningstar devices is they actually have a library, so they even know the
standard,
the AMP1
really?
CC. Yeah. You can just you can even have your favorites in their library, and then you can have a look at there, and you don't need to consult the manual, so you can just be in. So I really I recommend these ones for that purpose. They really are nice. I will maybe have a little go with the fuzz because
it's so good.
I like this one because it's super dynamic and it works with the vintage channel.
Yeah.
Because some fuzzes, some fuzz faces are they work best with the clean channel. And with the vintage channel, when you engage them,
it's too muddy.
The dynamic is not there. It's like you lose the volume, and here it's not the case.
Yeah.
And also, when you roll back, you cannot go to the sparkly clean again. And this one
does it because it's based on the old original Arbiter fuzz face, which Jimi Hendrix and again the vintage channel on the AMP1
actually has also a circuit that emulates the batteries. So it's really a nice one. But I will simply put it on. You can hear it. So what I like is that when it's all the way open, it's very warm.
Yeah.
And you roll it just a little back.
And then the whole...
And the glass comes rolling in.
Yeah.
You want to have a try?
I played with your guitar. It's just because I want to get the real... Yeah. Was now on the classic channel even. Wow.
With the fuzz, and I've tried a lot of fuzzes
and they shrink the signal in a way, they collapse.
Yeah, and they sound great on the clean channel.
Yeah.
But I don't use clean channels, so I need one that works on at least the vintage. But this one also makes even the classic channel grow bigger.
Yeah, I think
and
that
the dynamic is
that's
always
I'm
there.
also all about dynamic, and it's coming from both. It's coming from the pedal and the amp.
Yeah.
And then I think when every signal, every part in the signal chain is still having the dynamics going on, there's the music for me.
Yeah, sure, and that's why I'm using this rig. Is I'm always trying to reduce it back to the bare minimum that I can get away with, and then add only things if they make a difference, if they make it bigger, more dynamic, if they give me a different sound. That's why I basically have it's basically 2 amps, a delay, and a fuzz, and the looper is just for fun.
Yeah, of course. Then you can play with
just to
yourself,
work out
musical ideas,
and stuff like that. So it's basically just fuzz, delay, 2 amps, and the rest is utilitarian stuff to
and
make
looking
it work.
at 2 amps on the pedal board, it's not even a big pedal board. I mean, it's how most people have such a pedal board, and they only have overdrive pedals, and they have real amps, old school big amps somewhere, and this is all coming in this one bag.
And the thing is that I started with this size of pedal board, but with only the Mercury, adding pedals to give me
more
certain options. I was always looking for a boost pedal that could give me closer to the Iridium modern channel. But of course, nothing gets you there.
And then you bought an Iridium.
So I put the Iridium on there, and in the beginning I swapped just the preamps.
Yeah, either this one or this one.
Yeah. And so that was the first thing. I was mono, but I could swap the preamp, and then I went stereo, but still using 1 preamp only at a time. And then I went all the way with this thing, and no drives or stuff. Yeah.
Okay, this was your magic pedal board. There's one topic we also talked over the phone, which I like to talk a little bit about. It is dummy coils.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have dummy coils before you knew me, or do you know?
It's because of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm the dummy coil guy for the last 30 years, and some people talk dummy coils, other people hate them because it changes something. But I think it's a long journey until you get to know what the benefits are and what the side effects are, and if they are even beneficial. That's something that I do.
Yeah, and the thing was that I quickly learned from what you were explaining that it's not a way to have your exact same strat sound, but with less hum. It's all about having
another option,
a step towards the humbucker.
Yeah,
not necessarily being the humbucker, but having a step towards it. And that's the same with this guitar. Is that when I'm really into the high gain stuff and with the caps in the room and stuff, it becomes a necessity. But it also is really pleasant for doing solos. And if you're on a bridge pickup of a telly, it's biting, which is nice, but it can be piercing. And when you engage the dummy coil,
it's warmer.
It's like you have a humbucker again.
Yeah.
So this one, of course, has it. So I will just have a dry sound here. I will just tune it up to standards, just to make it easier for having. So everyone can hear that there is a bit of the
sparkle
snap gone.
Yeah, gone. But on the other hand, it's not so peaking, or what is the word?
Yeah, it's especially on the. It basically turns it a bit more pleasant for those notes.
And you still have the option to switch it off. So you have both sounds.
I use it a lot of the time without it, but it's an extra option.
Yeah.
And I need to give props to you because it's due to you that I knew that it was an option.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it.
Yeah, this is mine here. Let's get rid of my delay here so you can hear what I'm doing with this. Too much of everything. Let's get rid of the. I kind of decide on if I want to be that Stevie Ray Vaughan gang 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 spanky player, or if I want to be the smoother kind of guy. And for me, push-pull, I don't even notice when I engage it, or it's all automatic.
It becomes part of playing indeed, and but especially when I'm doing more high gain stuff, I find that it's useful.
Absolutely, because it focuses the frequencies. Because when the guitar has already a lot of overtones and they get overdriven in the whatever overdrive stages of your pedal or your amp, then the result of these overtones get kind of noisy.
Yeah.
And when they are a bit tamed, the extra gain overtones are more exciting and more pleasant, because the root note, the foundation, the wood of the guitar is there, and the exciting overtones come from the distortion and not from the glassiness of the strings.
Yeah, so it totally makes sense to have it. It makes it less clanky on the.
Nice. Just for comparison reasons, can you go for the humbucker that you can split on this guitar?
Yeah.
To show the difference of the humbucker as a single coil splitted and a real humbucker.
Yeah, sure. So the down position is the splitted. Split.
Again, that's a nice thing too, a different color.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. What I like about the split humbucker in the neck position is especially, I feel that it's a very good choice have a split humbucker sound in the telly, because the classic telly with the cover is it's okay, but sometimes a little bit too dull. And having that option, I mean, we can compare it.
Yeah, the thing is that just try it out, you will hear it.
Yeah. So this is like.
This is stock 68 pickups.
Yeah. So. I mean, fantastic guitar. Everything is cool. This is as it should be. And then it's open, like, and this is the standard humbucker, which is very full. But this is kind of a cool thing, and the sparkliness on the neck on the telly.
And this one also has the dummy coil.
Yeah.
To me, the dummy coil added to the neck pickup of a telly, it makes it duller, but it doesn't add the muscle. And that's what a humbucker does.
Yeah.
Is it gives it muscle.
Always muzzle, yeah.
And with this specific guitar, it just works really great.
Yeah.
It's just having two killer options. It's almost a Strat in the single coil, and it's a full-on humbucker when
you need it. Yeah.
But with this one, I enjoy the dummy coil a lot on the bridge, but on the neck, I also like it. But with this one, it's all the right. This is kind of my most versatile guitar at the moment. It's
great,
just the one I enjoy.
Great guitar. Hey guys, I think we talked a lot. What is most Gibson players are very happy with their beautiful sounding humbuckers. Hey, but we are going our personal preferences, our individual whatever needs. And this is only an option that we talk about. Everybody knows I have a Les Paul, which is somewhere upstairs, and that has a humbucker and it sounds killer. And the same with Max, he's got...
I came from the humbuckers,
yeah.
I got persuaded by the tellies, which kind of get very close in terms of bridge humbucker. But yeah, I came from the humbucker, but I was always trying to get more clarity and more dynamic out of it, and that leads you in the end to a single coil. So,
yeah. So here's my last question for tonight. At Thomas Blue, possibly to get a chewey lead tone for Mercury and Iridium. I play mostly Strat and Les Paul. What I mean by chewey, well, the feeling I get as I dig into the strings. Hey guys, this is all what I'm all about. I mean, me, and if it's not chewey, let's define what we understand by chewey. It's like when I dig into, you could hear when I play, I can, wait a minute, let me get rid of the... I get rid of the delay, so we really hear the amp. And the chewiness, no? That's one thing. The other thing is I have maybe something like the modern... Where's my... There's a Leslie going on. Hey guys, the best thing is I go back for my traditional mono setup with no effects and all, because this is the basic tone. I'm all about the chewiness. If I don't have a chewy lead tone from my amps, I wouldn't do it. And it's all over the place.
I think that with AMP1, everything on 5, the gain close to 10 with the Strat, and you're there. You gotta have the right cabinet. That's a big part of it.
Of course.
That's
people always forget
part.
about the amp is 50%, and the last part of the signal path is the speaker. And so it's so important to have a cabinet that suits you. I mean, we have listened to cabinets, yours and mine, and new prototypes and whatnot today. And we kind of agreed on it is a feel thing, and this is again chewey. What he means by chewey, this is so important.
It's not Chewbacca from Star Wars. No.
Yeah. Okay. What is it going? A single coil guy here, except for jazz sounds. To each, To each its own, and what works best for you. Of course, yeah. I mean, the thing about there's so many great sounds. There is not only one great sound. I mean, we do all our things, and I'm happy to achieve a few sounds that I had in my head that I was dreaming of, and I recorded them or I played them. I had a moment on stage where it actually happened. And one of my go-to sounds is also like my neck pickup sound on the Stratocaster at a lower setting, you know, with kind of this thing going on. It's sometimes a bit my go-to thing, or maybe even my trademark on certain things. But hey, that's another episode. I would leave it for here for today. I think this is hopefully getting you a bit more feel about why there is mono, why there is stereo, what the options are, what it's needed to get stereo, with all the options. And of course, we only showed you our quick solutions, and there's so many more. But this is at least a guideline of how you can get your own experiments. And just to sum it up in a short way, it is get an amp tone that you like, do it with an amp or with channels or with pedals. Then if you are into the stereo world because you want to spread stereo, you need the stereo effects time-based, and then you have the options either going into amps or into power amps, or combining what Max has done, 2 full amps for left and right, and put the stereo on, effects on top, which I think is very unique. And we have shown a few clips that show that there's a bunch of people doing that. And like Paul Rose also has 2 setups, one for his ambient band and one classic mono setup for the rock and roll. And so, you know, going back in circles, this sums up that when we have like the 2 hearts in our soul, sometimes we enjoy this and sometimes with that. There is not one single thing. I mean, when we first met, I thought you are AC/DC only, because you were so dedicated to what you've done on that side. But you know, this is not everything. It's your dedication to the stuff has different shades, because your personality also has different shades, and that, I think that's an inspiring thing for all of you guys. Maybe you can discover different shades in yourself. Maybe you played in an AC/DC tribute band, you know, doing it like you, and then discover maybe there's something about that stuff as well. Or vice versa. You come from the wishy-washy spaciness and you discover, you know what, get rid of all that shit. I just play bone dry.
To me, it's with a lot of different aspects in life too. It's just that sometimes you just get burnt out on one
single thing.
And then when you change something, it's not necessarily better, but the fact that you changed makes it fresh, makes it exciting. And to have at least 2 different kind of palettes to work with keeps it exciting.
For me, I'm an energy junkie. I do a lot, as you all know. I'm doing the live streams and the company and playing and blah, blah, blah. And my secret weapon for maintaining that consistent energy is to stay fresh. And I have worked out my clever management of what I enjoy doing at certain times of a day, where I'm productive. And I hate it to be not productive, and that kills my whole energy flow, and then I cannot do anything. So when I'm not inspired, I don't do anything. I don't push myself. It's like I do something else. I go to the garden and cut the grass, and after having done that, I'm so full of energy because I achieved something. You know, I didn't achieve anything on the guitar, but my garden is great, or whatever. I washed the dishes or cleaned. I do stupid thing, cleaned the car. And this little push, doing something different, gives me the energy to go back to the stuff that I was stuck, where it's like, fuck, I should have, where's the solution? And by changing, you know, to the different sides, I maintain my freshness and my energy. And it's like, load the battery and get the power out. And while doing this thing, even when I do something, I reload the other side of the battery.
Yeah, sure. I think also with you now trying a bit of the stereo stuff, it's you probably will not use it, but it gives you a bit of thoughts when you go back to the mono stuff. Sure.
I used to have a stereo rig in the 90s, very long time ago, because actually I played, I had two reasons for doing that. I started to do this because I had a synth pop band. I was the guitar player and the guitar, and on the records the keyboards were a hero. I mean, we go for Depeche Mode times, and then we went on tour, and then we decided we're not playing keyboards. We do all the spacey stuff and all the sounds with the guitar. And then the singer was also a guitar player, but he was not into the effects and stuff like that. So I was kind of the guy that replaced all the keyboards with his stereo effect guitar rig. I'm calling my fridge like I had Access MIDI preamp. I had a quadrophonic. I had an ESB, a Digitech 33B harmonizer, one rack space unit. It's in the other room outside. It still exists if it works. I don't know.
Yeah, back in the day you didn't have any options for small size stuff. You needed to go full rack.
Because in those days the rack gear was the only professional modern effect devices. So and I've been there as well. And I played with the same rig. Once this was set up, I used that in the Rainbirds for a while. Then I reduced that rig, and then I went into my mono phase, and I still am mono today. But you never know. Life goes in circles.
It does. It does.
Hey, Max, thank you so much for coming all the way.
Thanks for having me.
From Belgium. They have great guitar players with great taste, great beer, great chocolate. And sometimes
the French fries.
Well, I invented the French fries in Belgium.
Yeah, we are very defensive about that. So I need to mention it if we are talking about Belgium.
It's important. I see. Radiohead from OK Computers onwards. I had that record too. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining in. And be surprised about next week. Do I have plans? Let's see. There are plans and there are talks, and we'll see. Hey, this was the third time. We will see you again because there's always something cooking.
We're gonna need to go deeper in the AC/DC stuff. I can feel it.
Yeah. Okay, see you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.